Just this week, Jerry and I celebrated 37 years of marriage. And over the years, we've had many blessings, and I'd say the biggest of those was our 9 children that the Lord blessed us with. They were each unique and each special. And He also has given us lots of challenges, which we've faced together, and lots of bumps in the road. But I'd have to say that our hardest challenges came last year. Actually, the year started out great. Our oldest daughter, Rebecca, became engaged around Christmas time, and she was home for a while. And we started talking about plans. They planned to have a May wedding, May 11th. And she asked me if I would sew her wedding dress. So we bought the material, and then in the coming months, it had a lot of enjoyment in sewing that dress and getting invitations out and making all the preparations so that on May 4th, we got into the car with our 3 youngest children, Analia, Mary, and Caleb, and started out on a road trip to Texas, which is where Rebecca was living and where the wedding was going to be on May 11th, a week from then, and where 4 of our children were going to be having college graduations, and 2 people in our family were going to have birthdays. So it was going to be an exciting time, and we were heading out a week ahead of time so that we could help with all the preparations. Wedding dress was in the car. Needed to finish the hymn on that when we got to where Rebecca was. And then when we left North Carolina and got in Georgia, and all of a sudden our lives were in a moment changed when a truck hit our car, spun us around, hit us again, and stuffed us backwards under the semi-trailer in front of us. And because of that, we lost Analia and Mary. Analia was 17, Mary was 13. Their lives were ended abruptly. Once we recovered from the shock and the dealing with all the details of their funerals and arrangements, we discovered a lot of things that we hadn't known before about truck safety. One of the things we learned was that there was such a thing as underride guards, which fortunately had been made a requirement for trucks. And an underride guard is just what it says it is. It's a piece of equipment put on the back of trucks that is designed to prevent a car, if it crashes, from riding underneath the trailer and causing horrific injuries and tragic deaths, which is what occurred in our situation. Unfortunately, we discovered that too often those guards, for whatever reason, are not adequate to prevent underride. Along with that, we discovered that truck driver fatigue is often a problem, often a factor in accidents, and that in fact driving while fatigued, which I like to call DWF, can actually be as bad or worse than driving under the influence of alcohol, because it compromises one's ability to react in emergency. The third thing that we discovered was that the minimum insurance liability limits for truck drivers has not been raised in 30 years. The limits that are often inadequate for covering all the needs that occur in these horrific kinds of accidents. So once we discovered some of these issues, we decided to take action to see what we could do to help improve truck safety in our country. And one of the things that we did was last September, we went to Washington, D.C. with other members of the Truck Safety Coalition, which is a group which is actively trying to improve truck safety. And we met with the Secretary of Transportation, Anthony Fox, to discuss truck safety issues. And at that time, he made us a promise that we would be able to see tangible progress on these issues in a short period of time. So now at this time, in memory of Annalee and Mary, and to help us remember the first year of their crash, we have put together an online petition that we recently launched. We're asking people to sign this and to send a message to Secretary Fox that we want to see truck safety improved, and we want him to do what is under his authority to do to move these safety improvements along as quickly as possible. So we're asking people to help us in this, to make a difference in the lives of everybody that travels on the road, because with what we've gone through, we know how hard it is, and we want to do everything we can to prevent other families from facing the same circumstances we have. As I lay in the hospital bed in the days after the accident, trying to come to grips with the fact that my two daughters were gone, that we were never going to have them back again, I so much wanted to take their place, to let it be me instead of them. And I kept thinking about how, if only we had not been there at that place and that time, maybe, stayed at the restaurant for lunch 5 minutes longer or left 5 minutes earlier. And none of that was in my control. I couldn't stop it from happening. And probably can't prevent accidents from happening totally, but when there are things that can be done to improve the chance of people not getting injured or dying so tragically, then why aren't they being done? That's what I want to know. And what I want to have is the best possible protection for travelers on the road. So in memory of Annalee and Mary, on May 5th, 2014, 1 year after our crash, we'll be driving to Washington, D.C. And taking all these petitions that we get, printing off each one and putting in an envelope, and taking all these envelopes to the Department of Transportation to deliver to Secretary of Fox to let him know that we want changes to be made in truck safety regulations, and that we're counting on him to keep his promise to make tangible progress in a short period of time. Shortly after the funerals, we were packing things up in our house because we were going to be moving to a new house. And when we were going through Mary's things, we discovered a letter that she had written about a month before the accident. And she had written it to herself and planning on reading it 10 years in 2023. And one of the things she said was that she hoped she would be famous someday. She didn't know how, but she just wanted to be famous. So this isn't the way I would want her to be famous, but I hope that by raising awareness and bringing the story of Annalee and Mary to people's attention, that will make a difference, and she'll get her wish. She'll be famous. And another thing Mary said in that letter was she hoped in 10 years that she'd be living every day as if it was her last day. And there isn't a day that goes by that we don't miss Annalia and Mary and long for them to be here, but they can't be. So here we are, speaking up for truck safety in memory of Annalia and Mary. Please help us. Please help us make a difference.